Coach Rule tomorrow for you guys?
Hello.
All right, questions?
Have you named the starting kicker yet?
We have not. We're going to let Coach Rule handle that tomorrow.
What goes in, 3 days from the game, what goes into your thought processes, crunch time years with that?
Just, we're making evaluations on who that's going to be. I got a pretty good idea of who it's going to be. I'm just going to let Coach talk about that tomorrow, from a final standpoint of the decision. We still have one more day today. We're going to look at a couple things. So, we've got it down to kind of where we need it to be, but Coach will let you guys know about that tomorrow.
Do you find that in your role you spend more time thinking about the weakness than potentially the strength? Like, Bushini's kind of a known, but do you spend more time worrying about that one thing that might go wrong?
I worry about everything. It's my job, part of my job. But yeah, where this is with the first year for me is like 90% of what we're going to do is in, and we've been working on it. But that 10% of all the things that could happen on special teams is a lot of stuff. Like, there's a lot of situational football that you can maybe get a rep at, and there's going to be a couple things that we're probably not going to, but like try to do the best we can to get a look at what we're going to do. But some of those really uncommon special teams plays that happen very infrequently are hard to get worked on. Those are the things that keep me up at night.
How tough did guys make it on you just to make those final decisions on who gets on the bus?
That's not as hard from the standpoint of, because you know what the offensive and the defensive depth charts kind of look like. So you start to pare it down, whatever 10 days ago, you can start looking at it. So we got a bunch of dudes that can play special teams. So I'm not losing sleep so much about who the guys are going to be, because there's a really good pool of guys that'll go. So that's not as much of my concern as experience with some of the small details of what you need to do to be a great special teams operation at the college level.
What was Bushini's camp like? What was his August like?
He was really good. Like, he's got a big leg. He had a really good camp. He was very consistent. He can kick it far, and he can kick it where he wants it to go. So I feel really good about what he can do, what he brings to the table. He has leadership qualities. He's taken that unit to heart. Very personal for him to go out and have a good day. If he misses a couple of kicks in a rack, he's very critical of himself. But he's been really good.
What did that call to have him do kickoffs? I assume he was the most consistent at doing it in practice, but how much do you take into consideration his value as a punter and just what you're risking by having him run down a kickoff?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mitch. There's a lot to that. Like, we got some guys that can kick off, so I don't want him to have the pressure of the world on him to have to kick off every kick between his leg running down there. His job is going to be to be our punter. Timmy's kicked off, and Tristan can do it. So, like, that job, I think you're going to see evolve throughout the course of the year. I'm not sure who's going to kick the first one, to be honest with you. It really depends on what the situation will be, but like. I think that's going to be one of those things that we're going to keep working on throughout the early part of the season.
How does the situation change for a kickoff?
Wind. Yep. The wind direction. Who can get it up? What direction the wind's blowing? What the who's hitting the ball well? Really, because they're that close together. So who's hitting the ball well in pre-practice part of that? So there's a couple. Those are really the two things that we're going to look at.
What about you about Emmett Johnson at that kick return spot, and how much is decision making a big part of that? When to fair catch it, taking it to 25 and all that.
Yeah, Emmett, both the Johnsons, Emmett and Ramir, have done a really good job back there of catching it, making the decision of when to catch it, how to approach it. They track the ball well. They both can run through things, and they're both fast enough to break away. They have good vision, so they're both guys that can do it.
What's one of the, or two of the differences between them back there?
There's not really a whole lot of difference between them. I think Ramirez might be a hair quicker, and Emmett might be a hair more physical. I don't know. Maybe, but they're both really good, and Minnesota kicks it to both sides of the field. So in the college game, you have two guys back there that can do it. So we've got to be ready to have both those guys back there and going and being able to return in either direction. So if you ask me, like if they're both back there, who I would want it to kick to, that's a hard question to answer. Like I'm good with either one of them. Like I really am good with both of those guys as Big Ten kickoff returners. I think they're both going to be really good for us.
When we see 5 or 6 true freshmen on the 2 deep, how big of a role is special teams in getting those guys comfortable and ready so that they can go in secondary or wherever they need to go as the year goes on?
Yeah, I think it's a good way to get those young guys on the field and get them some seasoning, playing full speed and getting some butterflies out and getting their first hit or whatever. So I think it's. I think it's a valuable part of their development. I think it gives them confidence to be able to go out there and do whether their other jobs are. I don't know where they are enough on the other depth chart to know whether they're going to play their first play on defense. In the NFL, it was easy because their first play was almost always those young guys was almost always on special teams because you didn't have a lot of guys. So, I'd like to play the punt team with the black shirts and the single digits personally. But I think those other units against Minnesota are going to be, we might pop a couple young guys in there, see what they can do.
With those black shirts announced, what's been the impact of that group of 11 specifically on special teams and the tone that they've set there?
Well, it's great when you line it up and because you don't even really notice it until you get out there and you got the punt teams all black shirt, or just about all black shirts. So. That's really cool. And the number of single digits that's out there that's playing, because we try to always Coach Rule's always wanted to get the best players on that team. So you look out there and you got 0, you got 2, you got 4, so that 6 is out. So you got a bunch of guys out there on that punt team that make you feel really good that the peers think that they're the best players on the team. So that's always really powerful for us on special teams.
In your experience, does a stadium with a true open end function any differently than an enclosed stadium when it comes to the kicking game?
No, but we will be out there looking at what the wind patterns are. I've never coached a game in that stadium, but I can tell you, like, from all the places that I have coached, there have been some closed stadiums that have had a really kind of weird. Carolina was one of them. Philadelphia playing, coaching at Temple, where they were both closed, had kind of a swirling, kind of weird wind to them. So I am looking forward to getting out there and getting out there early and kind of getting a feel for, what our game plan will be, particularly in the punt game with the wind.
Anything else, guys? Are you disappointed in this what's happening here Wednesday night?
Yes, I am, but I got places to be. Yes, I want my wife and my daughter will be here at the volleyball day, and my daughter's playing volleyball, and they're very excited about being here. I was just out there walking out there with Kelly Hunter a little bit ago, and just talking about standing on the court and looking around and being like, oh my gosh, what an awesome opportunity for our girls to go out there and play. So yeah, I wish I was going to be there, but can't be in 2 places at once, and we got a job to do. We got to go to Minnesota and rock and roll. Thanks, guys.